MASN's coverage of the 2023 winter meetings is brought to you by your Baltimore area Toyota dealers. For legendary safety and reliability, choose Toyota, and let's go places. Well, pleasure to be joined here in Nashville by Orioles assistant GM Sig Mejdal. Sig, thanks so much for taking the time.
Happy to be here, Brendan.
So we just talked with the Orioles' other assistant GM, Eve Rosenbaum. Asked her a similar question. Want to ask you as well. You've worked with Mike and Eve for a while now. How important is that relationship and having good chemistry in the front office at a time like this in winter meetings when things are moving quick and it can be a little stressful?
Yeah, it's extremely important. I think we've, especially Mike and myself, have experienced some unique situations both in St. Louis and Houston, and so we've been through a bit together, and then Eve quite a bit with Houston, and so having that experience, knowing how each of us is going to react makes these meetings and these decisions a lot easier.
And that chemistry's got to be great for what you guys do, the hours you put in and all of that. Did you get time this year to actually enjoy the season? Was there any time you stepped back and said, look at what we've done here, look at what these players have done?
No, it was both. It was crazy stressful, and then there were certainly some really enjoyable moments. So although this is what we do for a career, we're also fans of the game. We're also fans of the Orioles, so we're just getting as excited as those in the bleachers quite often.
Yes, and I mean, Mike said, we're reinvigorating Baltimore baseball. You go around the city, you feel the excitement. It's got to be great for all of you.
It is. It is. I mean, it's wonderful to work in baseball, but it's even more wonderful to work for a team in a city where baseball is so important to the fans, and to see the park sold out, to hear the noise, feel the energy in the playoffs was a high for us too.
Sig, of course, a lot of the conversation surrounding the Orioles this offseason has been about pitching, both in the starting rotation and in the bullpen. From an analytical perspective, bullpen arms are volatile from year to year. You never quite know what you're going to get out of a reliever. What are some key things that you look at in a potential bullpen arm that would indicate to you that maybe their success is sustainable from year to year?
Yeah, I don't think it's anything you haven't thought about or anything that hasn't been written on third party. So we want to see health. I mean, so many pitchers, the disappointment is because of health. So obviously that's attractive, a resume of success. We have other technologies, the radar, ball tracking. And so we want to see specifics, movements, velocities that we think are a good bet going forward. And so you combine those with the volatility that naturally comes with the position, and we could still order the players. We could still, negotiate. We could still differentiate, relievers that we like more than others.
Sig, in terms of data and analytics,
yeah.
And I think you have said it in Houston when you guys went to that approach, you were an outlier. Now everybody's doing the same thing. So how do you keep ahead? How do you keep up? What's the next thing to come, so to speak?
Yeah, that's $1 million question. We had success both in St. Louis and Houston with some innovations, and we took advantage of it, but those are now just table stakes. And so we want to remain ahead. A good portion of our day is spent almost in paranoia of what we're missing, what's the next thing. And so we do our best, no different than the other teams. I think some of the unique experiences we've had helps us a bit, but it's a competitive world out there, and it's a competitive world with the analytics department searching for innovations also.
And when we ask you about, kind of the balance of analytics and scouting, that conversation usually comes around the draft. You're talking about, amateur scouting, maybe you're looking at a high school kid. But does that balance kind of look similar when you're talking about, pro scouting, somebody that you could be looking to sign or maybe trade for? What does that balance look like there, maybe compared to what you're doing around draft time?
Yeah, it changes. It's a good question. So if you're looking at an international kid, you have very little tech, and the level in which they're playing is nowhere near the major leagues. But as you baby step from that to college players, to low minors, to major leaguers, to 4A players, the balance between the subjective information from the experts and the quantitative data you have from tech or results, that balance, you're right, it changes.
Sig, very different baseball in Baltimore the last 2 years because of the left field wall. Changed everything in a game at Oriole Park at Camden Yards. In terms of what you looked at when you studied, should we do this, in terms of what the results have now produced, was it what you expected? Have there been surprises?
Yeah, it's what we expected. I mean, there's variability there, like moving the wall back isn't going to increase the number of homers. Now, exactly how much we experience in 2 years has a lot of noise around it, but it's obviously it's done what we've wanted. We've been a little bit more attractive to that pitcher who is interested in signing a one-year contract to get his stock up, that it was a hard sell or more difficult sell in the past to say, how'd you like to come to the American League East and pitch in a hitter's park? So for many pitchers, that's now a bit different in their calculus, and we've already seen the results in some of the negotiations that we're a much more attractive place to come and pitch for that type of pitcher.
Well, the Orioles are looking to continue their upward trajectory in 2024. A lot of work to be done here in Nashville at winter meetings. Orioles assistant GM Sig Mejdal, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks, Sig.